Well,
Yeah, you need to get a
did you
study
look
on
at
it.
something? I know.
Bud.
I parked down by Nona's.
Oh, really?
I'm sure there was some.
Sure, there's plenty on Bronson, but, you know, our theory is that
It's in Georgia.
March Madness, people are at the garage.
Oh, is that why I
It's
thought?
undoubtedly to watch, bless you, to watch the tournament.
I just figured having a big crowd here tonight, so.
So, Elaine's not here, everybody, so we're just recording the meeting and doing our best. Okay?
All right, well, we'll get rolling here, 5:31. Apologize for the minute delay here. Can I get a roll call from our secretary?
Butterfield. Here. Carter.
Here.
Cooper Surma.
Here.
Alexa Andrews.
Here.
Looting here. Moyer. Here. Vanderben.
Here. Thank you. And with that, can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda? We've got requests for amendments on a PUD, land division, our election of officers, and our annual report.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And with that, if everyone could review the meeting minutes from the February 19 meeting. And if there are no concerns, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move to our fifth item here, public hearing. So we have a request for amendments to an approved planned unit development, a PUD, zoned in the village residential PUD. We have Ken Dixon of Dixon Architecture on behalf of the applicant property owner, Tehran, who represents Ada Flats LLC. This would be properties 7510, 7518, 7520, 7524 Face Street, with the parcel numbers listed there. There's Ken. Ken, we know who you are, but if you could state who you are.
You bet. Ken Dixon with Dixon Architecture, 523 Ada Drive.
Thank you, sir.
You have a presentation, Ken?
I do.
All
I mean,
right,
it's kind of what you have, but I just like,
No, that's fine. Let's get you connected here. That should do ya.
perfect.
There you
Thank
are.
you, John. Okay, the packet that we've submitted, like I said, Ken Dixon, Tehran's also here in the audience, the property owner and developer. The site that we're presenting here is a PUD that we received approval back in 2021. At that time, it was the first three, starting from left to right, the first three were duplexes, stacked duplexes, designed to look like a single family, kind of a larger single family home, but actually they were duplexes stacked, not the traditional side-by-side duplex. This is kind of a revolutionary, we thought at the time. We think it's kind of a neat way of presenting a really neat aesthetic for the community. Looks like one building. It's actually kind of two different residences. At that time, the density, we were allowed 7 units for this 0.6 acre site. And so the last unit, the far right one, was left as a single family. And the first 3 have been built. If you've been to the site, those are built, have been occupied, have been in business, renting for the last number of years without incident, no complaints. They're just existing in the community, and it's a neat way of providing some density this close, walkable to the downtown area. So fast forward from 2021 to today, 5 years later, and things have changed. We've got Oxbow that's occurring across the street, which has a lot of density to it. Those are selling like crazy. People seeing what's happening in the village, wanting to be close to the village, want that walkability. Those residents support the businesses, support the events. It's a good thing. So seeing what's happening there, we wanted to come back and request a change to the last house that wasn't built from a single family to again, that stacked duplex. Not looking to change really anything about the footprint of the building. The building size stays the same. The footprint stays the same. We added a deck off the back. We originally had, in this scheme, our PUD had a little, this is the back of the unit. We had a flat deck in the back. We've captured that and made one more bedroom in the back here, and then cantilever, and then we added a deck out the back. So I guess The wood deck, which rain will fall through, it's not a solid surface, was added. That's kind of the only footprint added. And then in order to make this a duplex, we changed out, here's the original building here, this window here, all the others, you can see the ones that are built, they have these garages on the front, garage. This one, since it was a single family, that was a window, so we're coming back in and just changing out that window to a garage to match the other three. So a little exterior change, that door, garage door, that deck on the back, everything else remains the same. It's just the use. It's going from single family to a duplex. Duplexes sometimes can have a negative connotation. Being cheap architecture, transient tenants, and things like this. We're not going for affordable housing here. This is still at market rate, desirable. The lower level is 1,200 square feet or so, 1,200 and change, 2-bedroom. Great home for empty nesters. Great home for your children who are coming out of college and working in the community, and they need a place they want to be in Ada. There's very few apartments available in the Ada area, so having that as an option. The second floor, it's 1,900 feet, 4-bedroom. So another a variety of different housing options. 2-bedroom lower level, 4-bedroom top. You get families up above, younger professionals down below. Non-transient. These aren't cheap units. Well taken care of. That was one of the things with the original 2021 was that professional lawn care and services and plowing would be requested. That has been done. To our understanding, there hasn't been any complaints. So just expanding the density by one duplex unit. That's all I had to say. I don't know if you wanted to talk.
Ken, can you elaborate on why the single-family home was never built?
Why don't you come on up, Tron? I want to speak for you.
John, if you just want to state your name and address. Sure. Thank you.
I'm glad you didn't mention my first name either. This is Tran from Zayton Restaurant, 7437 River Street, Ada. Thank you for your time today. To answer your question, at the time we approached the bank, and these are obviously rental income properties, and the bank did not approve the one single unit. It doesn't cover the cost of the mortgage, so they did not approve. They weren't fond of it, and that's why we kind of put on hold on it, and we said, hey, let's build the rest at least. And then since everything changed last 5 years in the city, and we had proved ourselves as having duplexes there, has not even one incident since then. And I think Ken covered it very well, as you can see on the renderings, if you want to push the renderings. There's not really any changes on the facade or the footprint square footages. And then the look, the only thing we're asking here for your consideration is can we put 2 doors instead of 1 door basically, and having the expo done a lot more, farther more into the building was an example for us.
Understood. Yeah, I just want to confirm there wasn't any zoning issues, drainage issues.
No,
anything
no,
else.
it was totally bank purpose.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
John, you want to give staff comments on this one?
Certainly. Not too much more to add as it relates to the nature of the project, what's being proposed versus what was approved previously. Ken and Tehran covered that pretty well. Maybe some housekeeping though. And this is all covered in the staff report. So what I'm talking about is kind of just summarizes some of the comments that you'd find in the staff report. The density calculation, we would go from 7 units to 8 units. That does exceed the allowable bonus, if you will, in the planned unit development for density. However, we reviewed this with our township attorney. An exception to that bonus can be considered as part of the PUD review process.
Can you elaborate on that more, John?
Sure. So when you are doing a normal residential project, you know, our zoning ordinance allows a certain number of units or a certain lot size, whether it be per acre or minimum of 15,000 square feet or whatever it might be. In the case of a planned unit development, you're actually allowed to put in more units, a higher number of units per acre, for the density, okay? And we have a maximum number that is identified in the zoning ordinance. And the number being proposed, 8 units on this 0.6 acre site equates to, I believe, 13.3 units per acre. Instead of, if you had 7 units, which had been allowed, single family home goes to a duplex, that equates to 11.67 units per acre. The maximum allowed in the VR district is, the bonus, if you will, would take you to 12 units per acre. So this exceeds that slightly, okay? Because it's a 0.6 acre site and you're talking about 8 units. However, we reviewed it with our township attorney, and that can be an exception that you recommend for approval as part of the PUD. You can recommend that exception. I apologize, I did not include that in the conditions of approval. However, that can be part of item number 2. The following exceptions are included, and once you get to a vote, we can talk about that a little bit more as needed. A couple of other items. Yes, this item had come up previously, I want to say 3 years ago. The project was still kind of in its infancy at that point in time. Since that point, as Ken had mentioned, this project has been kind of developed and built out. The other 3 duplex units have been developed and built out. There really haven't been any issues at all in terms of the development, whatever was going on there, et cetera. And as you guys know, the master plan encourages housing variety. And we're now, as you all know, as we talked about at the December 18th joint meeting with the Township Board, and as the steering committee has been looking at, as both James and Rob know, we have been looking at housing variety and the possible expansion of housing variety, including in this part of the community, with our VR, our Village Residential District, possibly doing some changes to allow for more density and these kinds of things. That's not done yet, but we have the momentum, if you will, based on the conversation and kind of the positive vibes that everybody has provided thus far in moving in that direction. So in the staff report, we talk about 2 options. If you all are comfortable in recommending approval of this request, or if you recommend denial of this request, that's fine. However, if you decide to table this request and until conclusion of the zoning ordinance update, you can do that too. It does get difficult, and I don't know that there's any one wrong answer here, because somebody might say, yes, it's good to tie it to a larger strategy of doing the zoning ordinance update. On the other hand, we kind of have the momentum of moving forward. We have the Oxbow project, which is getting built out across the street, which, as you guys know, has townhomes, has duplexes, row housing, as well as some single-family homes, but on smaller lots. That might be okay, and maybe it's also fair to say that this project should not be tied to something that is beyond the control of this project. In other words, our zoning ordinance completion. So that's something to consider as you review this. We talked about, or Ken talked about the setback aspect and the new deck. So we identified that in here as well because of the reduced setback that will apply with the deck in the rear yard, because the deck is elevated, so that does have to be considered as part of the setbacks. So that's something to keep in mind. The applicant will also need to confirm that there is going to be no issue of the setback, or I'm sorry, of the deck placement within the floodplain. So they'll need to confirm that with EGLE, the State Environment, Great Lakes and Energy Department. So wanted to bring that up. There had been previous concerns at the time of the 2023 request regarding the elevation of this property. Staff did some follow-up research on that and provided a staff report to the commission at that time, noting that the elevations were similar. The existing properties in the area were at 636 feet. above sea level, and these duplexes were at 633 feet. All of these properties are several feet higher than Faye Street. So you have, if you go out to the site, you will see drainage coming out toward Faye Street. You also have a large gully in the back of this property, a very significant gully, which has all been engineered and designed to assist in stormwater management and storage. So we've not, and there's manhole inlets, if you will, and these kinds of things on the property. So that's not really been an issue or a concern that has arisen, even with the recent rains that we've had. So that's something else to keep in mind. So with that in mind, if the commission is supportive and opts to recommend approval of this request, staff has included those three conditions, but we would ask that the second one be amended to not only include the exception for the rear yard setback for the elevated deck, but also to allow for a higher density with a total of 8 units for a density of 13.3 dwelling units per acre.
You don't have the setback noted, correct, in your recommendations?
We do in condition number 2.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yep. So certainly happy to respond to any questions to the best of our ability that you all might have. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just give my comments, I guess, on behalf of part of the steering committee of the rewrite, is that, as John stated, we are moving towards allowing density like this in the village area, and definitely making that easier. So, in my opinion, if we would wait for the zoning ordinance rewrite, we're just punting this decision down the road, as it would likely get approved then. Not to say we have to approve it tonight, but that if we chose to table it, that's likely how it would end up. It would be allowed with that. With that, I'll open it up to the commission, though, for comments.
Public hearing, ask back for any public comment.
Do that first, yeah, definitely, thank you. So, yeah, with that, it is a public hearing, so I will open it up to the public for any comments. Okay, looking at you, shaking your head no. Okay, I will close the public hearing. Thank you. And then open it up to the commissioners for comment. Thank you, Brent.
It appears that this new unit has a 2-car garage versus the other 3 townhomes have a 1-car garage. Is there going to be a concern with parking?
Concern with parking?
Ada? Never.
That was actually there in the initial, when it was a single-family garage. That we didn't add that 2 garage, that was there from the original 2021.
Yeah.
What we're adding now is the garage in the front, so it actually provide more parking than the other 3 units. The other 3 units have 2 single-car garages. This one will have a single and a double.
Do they have 2 single-car garages, though, plus 2 uncovered spots? It looks like so in your rendering.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. If you want to count the uncovered, then it's the same.
Which I would assume would probably design to be guest spots.
Yeah, yep. So we got 4. Every one of these houses has 4.
Where's the 4th for this new one?
Underneath the deck.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a little car there if you.
Ken, is there not, if I might also note, in the front yard, isn't there also a stub? There you go, parking,
Yeah, it's more for getting out.
pulling out?
Yeah,
Okay.
we have seen people park there, but I don't know, they must.
On a
come
temporary
around that.
basis only?
Yeah, not intended, it's kind of the hammerhead for turning around.
Understood.
I like the high density. I just wonder if the neighbor to the east is going to have a visitor parked in front of their house regularly, because now there's going to be an additional dwelling there. But if you're saying that there's the same number of parking, then that.
Yep, every home has 4, so every duplex has 2.
And in reality, public streets, you're allowed to park on the street, wherever that might be in those locations.
Looks like there's a curb cut across the street.
Yeah, I saw that in the Oxbow too.
Yeah, and there are some designated spaces that Oxbow put in across the street as well, that are actual parallel parking spaces as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I didn't notice from those renderings that you could park under the deck, it looked like to me.
Yep.
So if the zoning ordinance update goes maybe the way you were describing it might,
this would still, if this were tabled, or if this were denied, this would still, it still might have to come back for a PUD amendment.
Either a PUD amendment or depending, and that's the other thing that's kind of questionable exactly how that might work out, as both James and Rob know. It might be something where these kinds of units they're allowed, but they're allowed as a special use or something of that nature. So that's still, those finer points are still to be worked out.
Okay.
Which is why that, to your point, Rob, that gets to be a bit of a question mark, and it, as you what was the term you used? It's almost like punting if we didn't vote on it, if it wasn't voted on tonight, and I understand that.
In my opinion, the design, the look, everything is incredibly consistent with what was originally approved. This is in alignment with the master plan and with the zoning rewrite of increasing density. I don't anticipate any parking issues here. Seems like the three have been very successful. I don't have any issues with this.
Mr. Chairman, will you excuse me? I apologize, but there was actually a written comment submitted as well.
Yes.
That I should have read in at the public hearing, but if it's acceptable, I'll read it into the
Yeah,
record
if you
now.
could go ahead.
So this is from Tom Korth, who is the supervisor and Ada resident. He wanted to offer some observations. He was not going to be at the meeting, but he asked that this information be entered into the record, his letter. And he said this is comments regarding the requested amendment to the plan unit development. And I won't read this word for word, but I'll provide as much detail as probably is appropriate. He says he fully respects the Planning Commission independent role in evaluating land use applications and offers the following comments to assist in the deliberations. Item number 1, the performance of the existing development. He mentions that the 3 stacked duplexes under the original PUD plan have now been in place for a while. Turn the page. For approximately 3 years to date, there really hasn't been much in the way of notable complaints or issues brought forward to the township that would indicate any adverse impacts from the development. Number 2, the design continuity and the limited incremental impact. He mentions that the amendment appears to really maintain the architectural consistency with the existing structures. The physical impact is limited with no real expansion of the primary building footprint and only a small addition of that short single width driveway. Stormwater and site function, number 3. Based on the available information and the township experience with the site, there have really been no identified flooding or stormwater concerns associated with the current build-out, suggesting the site is functioning as it was designed. Number 4, the PUD context for consideration. As the parcel is already governed by a PUD, the commission has the ability to evaluate the amendment within that framework, independent of broader zoning discussions that may be ongoing. So that's another viewpoint to consider. Number 5, the construction timing and neighborhood impact. From a practical standpoint, there might be benefit in completing this phase while the broader Oxbow development is under active construction and avoid a later return of construction activity affecting the Fay Street area and residents. Number 6, separation from broader policy considerations. Even though the township continues to look at the broader zoning and planning issues, it might be appropriate to consider this application separately on its individual merits rather than deferring action based on potential future policy changes. Doing so also avoids putting unnecessary timing on the broader planning and zoning effort. Number 7, housing supply consideration. Township continues to experience pressure, and that's also happening at the state level, to support additional and more attainable housing options. Even though this is a modest change, the amendment does contribute incrementally toward that objective. Number 8, there's limited, if any, additional impact to the neighboring properties. Given the design of the building as either a single-family home or a stacked duplex, it has no access points on the side adjacent to the neighbor off the property or any of the other neighboring properties. Thus, the 2-family version doesn't really have additional impact to what the neighbors will experience under either scenario. And again, he says in conclusion, these comments are offered to provide context and observed experience within the existing development. He appreciates the Commission's review of this request and your service to the township. Respectfully submitted from Thomas A. Korth, Township Supervisor of Ada Township.
Yeah.
Thank you. And again, sorry for not reading that in earlier.
Any other comments?
I'd just like to state that I'll be voting tonight, like not based on what the future zoning may hold, because I think that's just not the right way to address things in
Understood.
the future. And that it would be on its own merit, that it's very compatible and consistent with the other townhomes that have been built, and that's all I wanted to say. And I agree that construction during a time with other construction makes sense as well, as Mr. Korth stated.
Yep.
I heard Mr. Dixon, I heard John, I heard Mr. Korth all lead with, there haven't been other issues or complaints at the other existing homes, and so I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around what impact that has or wouldn't have, and what sort of, like, that seems like an odd consideration to be one of the leading arguments, and so I'm trying to flush that out a little more. Like, we haven't had police calls there, or we haven't received complaints from the neighbors. And I guess I want to try to avoid trying to create a basis by which more complaints come in so that this stuff doesn't.
Right.
So help me understand why we should be considering that.
I don't know that we should. As I've always argued, we should be basing our decisions on standards.
Okay.
The decisions of this group, and the zoning board for that matter, should not be a popularity contest. I've got 50 people that think this is a great idea, so you should support it. Or I've got 40 people that think this is a bad idea, so you should vote it down. It really is about the standards. It always should be about the standards. So from my perspective, that's what it's really about. Having said that, I know that there are times when people identify issues like traffic or density or other things that sometimes maybe you could tie back to a particular standard. But in this case, I don't believe we have any of that.
And so those comments about there not being issues we haven't heard them at the planning department. Mr. Korth hasn't heard them in his role as supervisor. Presumably I'm putting words in his mouth. And the developer hasn't heard comments or hasn't heard
Complaints.
issues raised within. That's really the statements we're making. Okay.
Certainly.
We didn't go out and investigate whether this.
Right. It wasn't like a survey was taken.
Just trying to understand that. That
Yeah.
just seemed odd to me.
A little bit, I think it was initially, there was concern back then that there were
Sure.
no multi-family duplex types of uses along Face Street. So that was one of the major concerns, and I think Angela and Dan probably remember that at that point in time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and Tom led that concern,
Yes.
Right.
okay? He's done a 180-degree turn here.
Yes.
When I hear that letter, or that memo, or whatever it was that he provided. So, I think this is a good idea. I remember way back when, I thought it should have been a duplex back then. So, I think we ought to approve this.
I do appreciate the comments from Steve and Angela, though. We absolutely need to look at this as it is a violation of the current zoning. I appreciate John's feedback that our township lawyer looked at it and it would be acceptable to approve, and we should look at it in that sense. And like Steve said, we are not a civil court, so if there's 100 police calls, that is irrelevant to our job as a planning commission. If it did cause congestion issues, parking issues, that's another story, but if neighbors are complaining about weeds, that is irrelevant of us and our approval of this. So, I appreciate that comment, Steve. But,
Question.
yes,
If Eagle objects to the deck, what happens?
That was gonna be my question too, actually.
Yeah, the deck could be omitted from the project.
Well, so I'll let you finish your question first.
But the question is, what happens if Eagle objects to the deck?
there's no deck then.
There's no doubt, because staff would have to sign off on the building permit application without approval from Eagle to do so, we would not.
I guess the question,
And a condition wouldn't be met here.
I guess the question would be, does not having the deck impact the project proceeding? I guess it's maybe a different
No, the answer is no, it wouldn't impact. We just want to have it covered. The extra parking would be just surface parking without a deck. I think that would be the only change.
Gotcha.
And the setback exception, if you will, would be much less. Because 50 foot is required, so it would end up being, I don't know,
It was at that time.
It's 40 now.
It's 40 now.
40 now, that's right. But so it would be 25 or whatever. It would be a lesser extent, if you will, to that exception, which you can always do. You can always reduce, you just can't increase, unless that comes back for approval.
I'm reading this as carefully as I can. If Eagle does not approve the elevated deck, can a building permit be issued?
That's what I just said, if they don't, a building permit would not, a building permit could be issued for the unit, just not for the deck.
So are you suggesting that condition 3 be reworded then, James? Maybe to say, if Eagle does not approve the deck, then, or something like that, then it will be removed from the project?
That might be a better way to say it.
Okay, so we can adjust that accordingly if that's acceptable to the commission.
So to clarify then, the reason the deck is there is primarily to provide some coverage for parking? No?
No, it's really, there's a bedroom above that garage. And so
Gotcha.
that bedroom person can step out on the deck and see the.
Because the other units do not have that
Correct.
deck out the back.
Correct, yep.
Okay.
We had a deck here previously, it was a flat roof during the first rendition. We had a deck there, it was just in the same footprint as the two-stall
Okay.
garage.
Got it.
Since then, we put a roof over it, made it internal, and then took the deck and pushed it
How
outward.
close is the railroad? I'm just thinking, that with the setback piece here,
I would say railroad's typically 100-foot right-of-way,
okay,
and so it'd be 50 feet from that dot dash line. The thick one would be 50 feet, would be like the center line of the railroad.
okay.
We're back about 13 feet to the face of that, so 63 feet total from the center line of the railroad.
Just envisioning this deck right on top. Okay, got it.
Yeah, as you might know, I actually live along that train line myself, although my home is set much further back. I'm about 200 feet, but it's a wooded area and no homes or anything between me and this railroad line. But the railroad, the trains that come through there only come through at most like twice a day. And fortunately, the trains are pretty short, 10, 12 cars at the most. So it's not as much of a visual or sound issue as, someplace that might have, 50 or 100 trains a day.
That was the other thing I was kind of thinking about is, you hate to see something like this, a project like this built out, and then no one wants to rent it because it's right on top of the train.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lot line to the railroad. It looks like it's, like John said, 50 feet.
Great.
How often that train come through, though?
It's no more than twice a day.
Yeah.
And the trains are short.
I don't think it's twice a day, is it?
At the most.
It's King
twice a
Milling to
day.
Amway.
Yeah, it's sometimes, you might go a couple of days without a train, and then you might have a day where you have a run in and a run back out, because they go up to
Okay.
Lowell. I think they go to King Milling and
Yeah, it's
Lowell,
King
and then
Milling.
they go to Amway.
That's all it does, back and forth.
But it's pretty short.
Okay, no, thank you, that's helpful. We were talking a lot about trying to encourage development at the same time with Oxbow finishing up. What's the timeline for this project? So let's assume for a second this was approved. When would you look to break ground, and how quickly would you look to finish the project?
The goal is August or September of this year. If
Okay.
it's approved by we would like to move forward.
So it's a quick turn, okay.
Its project is ready and we are experienced on that, so it shouldn't be an issue. And then,
And you have the funding and all that, financing and all that stuff worked out?
Correct.
Good,
yes,
okay, cool.
it's a lot easier to build one than all four now. So,
I just wanted to make sure that it just doesn't continue sitting. So-
no, exactly. That's why we are here, actually.
Yeah, good questions, Blaine. With that, it sounds like there's no major objections here, so
Are we ready for a motion?
I think so.
Give it a shot, I guess.
Dan does so well at these.
Yeah, really throw it down.
All right, that we approve the planned unit development amendments for 7510, 7518, 7520, 7524 Faith Street as proposed in the attached memorandum with the following conditions. One, I won't read the whole thing, but the first condition, the second condition with hopefully rewritten to take into account the rear setback and approval by the.
Higher density.
That's coming, and by the Eagle. And then two is also to add the higher, getting approval for the higher density of 13.3 units per acre. And I guess that's, oh, yeah, when I said two, combined three then, did that with the Eagle approval on the elevated rear deck. I don't know if I handled it good enough or not.
May I make one clarification? It's actually, you're recommending approval because this is going to go on to the township.
Yes.
Otherwise, we could clean it up with the setbacks for the deck or the main home with the density and then with the Eagle condition as well.
All right. I know I butchered that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ken.
So-
Thank you, Teron.
Housekeeping. This cannot come just because it's too quick of a turnaround to next Monday's Township Board meeting. So it will have to come to the next available meeting, which I think is April 13th. So let me look at the calendar real quick. I believe that's the next available meeting. Yeah, just because of how the weeks fall. So it'll be the April 13th Township Board meeting this matter will come to. For final approval of the PUD based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teron. With that, we move to unfinished business, which we have none. We will move on to new business. Our first item is the land division of a platted lot creating two parcels in the Village Residential Zoning District. Applicant and property owner Donald and Beth Borton at 7256 Rick Street. The applicant would like to come forward. State your name and address, please.
My name is Donald H. Borton.
Thank you. And thank you. If you would like to present what you're looking to do here.
Yeah, I have just a little bit of history on this. We originally bought the parcel 2 and then contracted with the individual owner who also had parcel 1 and parcel 2 and purchased parcel 1 separately. That was many years ago. At that time, we intended only to use parcel 1 as yard, garden, that sort of thing. I can remember my wife saying many a time, "That's our backyard, we're not gonna do anything with it." And, well, some things have changed since then. One, she passed away. So I don't have that impetus to work on it back there. Secondly, I developed a balance problem, and I don't know if you've ever tried raking leaves with a rake in one hand and a cane or something in the other hand. It's nigh unto impossible. So we said, okay, let's see about going back to what it was originally, and 2 separate parcels and 2 different things. Then our objective is to eventually sell parcel 1 and invest that money in some other property or another house. And in the meantime, if we can find a place or build a place, then we would move the materials from parcel 2 to that and sell that eventually. That's where we're at this point. And depending on how you agree or disagree with separating those parcels, we'll determine what we have to do next.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You can probably take a seat. You're good. You can take a seat. Thank you.
Okay.
John, does staff want to give their recommendations on this?
Sure. Couple of notes. So yes, this is considered a land division, but it's a land division of a platted lot, so therefore it has to come to the planning commission. You guys might remember a few months ago, a month or two ago, there was that request for the land division on Buttrick. So we always say that each proposal has to stand on its own merits, right? It's, gee, you approve this one, so why don't you approve that one? Or you turn this one down, so you should turn that one down. This, however, we believe is a different scenario entirely. If you look at these lots, or the proposed lots, as Mr. Borton indicated, this is basically a double deep lot, if you will, right? At one time, it likely was 2 lots. And if you look, and this is the reason I included that aerial photo, the subject lot, Mr. Borton's lot, is outlined in purple there. But if you look further up along Ricks and Bradfield, you'll see that the remaining lots up that way fit the development pattern of having one lot facing Bradfield, so you've got lots along Bradfield and you've got lots along Ricks. So the development, or the idea of creating this additional lot, fits within that land use pattern. It's consistent with the neighborhood. And it does allow for development of an additional dwelling unit, right? We talked about that with the first request, you know, for creating more opportunities for housing and kind of the economic engine that supports the downtown and the businesses and all of that in this location. Unlike the other location on Buttrick, where you didn't have additional lots that were behind other lots. So this kind of fits that. The second lot does have that Bradfield Street access. So for that reason, staff does support this request because of it fitting within that land use pattern, with it being compatible with those lots. One thing, though, that we did not mention in the staff report, which Brent identified tonight, currently there is a shed in the rear area of this, what is the proposed lot. Unfortunately, based on the existing setback, or I'm sorry, the proposed setback, that shed would not meet that setback. So we would either need to have Mr. Borton either remove that shed or to request a zoning variance for that shed, because it requires a 3-foot setback, which isn't a lot, but I believe the setback as it is now is 2 feet. So if you would agree, to Mr. Borton, to that condition of removal of the shed or seeking a zoning variance prior to us approving obviously the commission can approve it conditionally, but before we would sign off on it administratively, we would have to have that addressed by Mr. Borton.
What would be required for a zoning variance?
You would have to submit to the Zoning Board of Appeals. There's an application and a fee. It's not unlike this process where, you know, you come in and make the request and make your argument for that at the Zoning Board of Appeals. Any other comment, Brent? So that's what would be involved to do that if you did want to keep the shed, just because you're introducing a new property line. Or do a demolition or some kind of adjustment to have the shed meet those setbacks from the rear yard and so forth. Okay?
John, wouldn't we state that that is outside the scope of tonight, though? No, it is not. Okay.
Because we're trying to adhere to our zoning ordinance requirements.
Okay.
So approving
Pass
something.
something and create a violation?
Correct.
Okay, understood.
Exactly. We don't want
It's
to.
currently in violation right now,
No, well.
on the side
It is
setback.
on the side, that is correct, but in the rear, it's not, because.
Right,
With the
right.
side,
So it's,
it is, but he wouldn't even really be required to get a side yard, because that would be considered legal.
Legal nonconformity.
You're creating this.
I got you.
new lot, so that's why you need to meet the rear yard setback requirement.
So that new lot line, what creates that nonconformity?
he in theory could move the lot line 1 foot, but
Then it
that's
doesn't match the original.
true. Okay,
lots.
all right.
But he could move the shed, I don't know if the shed's movable, he could move the shed 1 foot.
No,
So-
okay, all right.
or do a slight reduction to it, although I don't know if that's the tail wagging the dog.
Ask for a variance.
So we'll include a condition of approval, and then you guys can kind of tell us what you want to do, whether it's apply for a variance or to demolish it.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Or move it, or move
Or
it.
move.
Or moving the shed.
I don't think moving the lot line, there was a lot of support up to moving the lot line.
Um,
That shed was like existing as long as you've been there, right? Yeah. Like it was already there before it was split, or before it was combined.
Yeah, so we are dealing though with this situation of introducing this lot line, so that changes the condition, if you will, of the situation out there with the shed and where the shed is placed. So that's why it has to be worked with in one way or another.
my
I would
perspective,
recommend not making the change to the lot line, because basically what they're following is what was.
Correct.
initially out
The existing
there was
pattern.
Lot 6. lot
yeah,
3.
and I will say, I'm glad John brought the context. We denied a lot split last month, so I would say the planning commission is very sensitive on splitting lots. This situation is very unique. You're putting it back to what it was. Now, if you move the lot line, you're not putting it back to where it was. So now I have another candidate next month that wants to move a line 100 feet, because you guys were allowed to. So as planning commissioners, we need to be cognizant of precedent. My recommendation would be to seek a variance on that. Shed's already there.
Yeah, we can't grant the variance here.
No, that's under the authority of the zoning board of appeals.
Zoning Board of Appeals.
Now, obviously, there is some continuity of communication because we have a member, Justin happens to be on the zoning board, so should they make a request for a zoning variance, that's something that, Justin would be aware of. Obviously, that does take away timeliness. It would add a month or two to the project or to the process. Whereas a demolition, you could come and get a demolition permit, within the next couple of days or something. That's an easier process. So that's something you would have to weigh out. You guys can let us know.
And I also don't speak for the entire zoning board of appeals, so.
No, it's just that you're aware of it and could speak to it along with.
You're just a liaison, so you could actually.
Right.
speak, yeah.
Right, I
We're not-
mean
we're
to
not-
say,
we're
I mean
not
to say that
putting
there's no guarantee that even if the planning commission says yes, that the zoning board of appeals will also say yes.
That's true.
Just to set
How
realistic
often-
expectations.
Yeah, how often are variances approved? Like, is it a historic looking structure? Are there other considerations that?
It wouldn't be based, it would, once again, the standards, right? Unique circumstances, is there a hardship here? Is there, what's the impact on the neighborhood? Those kinds of
And that could
considerations.
be a little challenging, because we've always stated that before, they're creating this new situation.
Right. So it's kind of a self-created problem.
Self-created, we generally,
I mean, that's all very speculative, and
but I mean,
obviously,
that is a condition, you're not supposed to create something.
your own problems, yeah. So that could be a challenge for them. Obviously, that's not something that we
I
have
think
to
it's just good
legislate
that we're
here.
already talking about some of that, so just.
Right.
So they're aware of that, I guess.
Right.
for the decision.
Obviously, the cleaner thing would be to take the shed down. They could put up a new one, just in a slightly different location, or even adjust this one if there's a way to
Move it.
remove a portion of the back and move the wall a foot. I don't know if that's possible. I've not seen the shed.
There's concrete, is the concrete needed to be moved, or just the?
You mean it's at ground level, the concrete?
Well, it's concrete / dirt, depending, it's a.
Can
Yeah, could
you, would you,
Identify yourself, sir?
yeah, would you mind just coming up, stating your name? I'm assuming you're the son, but,
Son-in-law, Calvin Bradley, 7256 Rick Street.
okay,
So,
thank
but yeah,
you.
it's an old carriage garage, so it's from 1900s, right? So there's poured cement from different variations of years, right? So my question is, do you have to move the concrete along with the wood structure, or just the wood structure?
Yeah, I think that's a unique situation too for the zoning board of appeals, because then I'm assuming when it was 2 lots previously, it was non-conforming then as well. It's hard to tell.
Basically, from a zoning perspective, anything that's 30 inches or above ground level has to meet setback. If it's below that, So let's say if you have like just a patio or a paved surface of your yard, that doesn't have to meet setback, but any structure, so if you can, if you have like a flat surface, and then you have that could go right up to a property line, but it's the structure above, 30 inches or above, has to meet that setback,
Okay,
if that makes sense to you. Once you get to the kind of 3 dimensions, right,
Yep.
of the 30 inches or
Okay.
higher. So, if you have an ability to adjust it in, that's an option too.
yeah, okay.
We're just trying to
Yep, most definitely.
identify as many options for you as there might be out there.
Yep.
Anything else?
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, in this scenario, I think it's important as the commission that we are very clear with why we do our choice because of us denying one recently. But it is very consistent with the lots. I guess you could say northwest of it. It was 2 lots before. It's going back to what it was. In my opinion, this is very consistent with all the township ordinances, the master plan, and the recommendations of staff. I don't see any issues with this. Just that the applicant determined best path forward on the shed, however they choose on that. Any other comments from the commissioners here?
I think you alluded to this. I think you alluded to this a little bit. I'm curious if you can elaborate a bit more on like what the plan is for this, in terms of building a structure or multiple structures, timelines, those kinds of things. I'm just kind of generally curious. But I'm not sure. Is
somebody else to build.
so okay,
So it's a
gotcha.
vacant
Just
lot.
as a vacant lot. Got it. Okay. That's helpful.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Otherwise, I think we're ready for a motion. Dan, you're the man.
Dan,
All right.
you're on a roll tonight.
Yeah, all right. All right, let's see here.
Actually, can I say one more thing real quick? While you
Absolutely.
think about that.
Can.
I just worry a little, I mean, I'm generally supportive, it is very much in line, right? But I do worry a little bit about parceling things up without a plan to actually go develop it, right? We don't know if there's a developer ready to come in and develop on this property, right? So that's the one thing that I kind of, in the back of my head, I worry a little bit about, right? Just vacant lots sitting out there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is a property right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
totally.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
It's the same
It's
risk.
not part of the standards
Right.
to grant this.
right.
Yeah, it's sitting now, doing nothing, and unless he's selling it for $1 million, I'm
Yeah.
guessing he'll sell it within a day.
In this location, probably, I'm sure.
Maybe he'll get $1 million. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point, right? The market in Ada is a very lucrative market. It's so you've got these kinds of things happening all the time, right? So there's a real, property is worth a lot here.
I think we have to be sensitive with that. You have the property that Baton bought right across from Foxtail purposely. They bought it from Tehran to never build and have it sit green forever. So I think it's,
Not a lot of people can do that.
you can do that.
Yeah.
We can't govern if it gets developed or not.
No, yeah, totally.
And-
Right, it's just.
Right.
As
I just-
planners, it's nice to kind of have an idea of what the plan is to do
Yeah.
with those lots, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think we have to be
There's definitely
sensitive
an
where,
economic
yeah.
benefit to a sale of the lot and then a development of the lot.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't think I would agree that it will not take long.
And where I'm going with that though is, like, what's to say, there's the massive house right in front of it, right?
I think those are a few houses.
Oh, along Ada Drive?
Oh,
Yes.
southeast of it there, yeah.
Two,
I just would not be surprised if they buy that as a backyard, but.
Isn't there
There's actually 4 dwellings.
Yeah, there's 4, there's like 3 deep ones there.
Oh, I'm thinking about the one, I guess, further south it would be. good point. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Isn't there a vacant lot beside this one?
Vacant lot where?
I don't,
Next to it?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that's,
not anymore? No.
that's how quickly.
home was recently constructed on
Hmm.
And this photo is like from 2023, I want to say, so that's how quickly, goes right to that point, right? Where how quickly stuff is happening.
Yeah, there's a house there now.
Is there?
Uh-huh.
The latest, you got the latest aerial photo?
Yeah. It's the same guy. It's the guy that owns the other three. Looks like he put one behind it. So, he owns 4 lots. So I'm guessing he'll buy this one. Be my guess.
Yeah, just trying to think a little bit ahead, that's all.
Yep.
Take it away, Dan.
Dan, you've had a lot of time to prepare.
All right. So I move that we approve the land division for 7256 Rick Street, the 2 parcels. I guess it's 1 parcel right now, 4115, 34104, 008, and that we approve the split as presented in the memo that we have here.
Can you mention the shed?
Oh, and that is subject to either getting a variance on the shed or removing the shed.
Or
Modifying.
it
Or
to
modifying it,
be code compliant?
yeah.
Can't be grandfathered?
No, sir, because that new property line, that's something new being introduced again.
That is for the zoning board to decide, not us.
It's not grandpa.
Can I get a second? Still moved, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. You guys are good to go, or you can stay if you want.
And you guys can, reach out to us. Brent, myself, will be happy to talk to you. Our cards are right across the hall in the little window there. There's a little card holder if you want to get back to us. Mr. Borton, you've obviously been in, so we're happy to talk to you, or you can find our information if you want to email us or whatever, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to our second item of new business, election of the Planning Commission officers, chair, vice chair, and secretary. So right now, we have myself, the chair, Angela, vice chair, and Steve, secretary. I would open it up to any of the commissioners if they would like to run for any of these positions. I'll speak for myself. I'm happy to chair for another year. If the commission decides, Angela, I don't know if
I'm happy to vice chair, but unless somebody else is interested.
okay.
I'm happy to secretary.
Happy to secretary. Is there anyone else on the commission interested in any of the positions?
I have enough jobs.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, with that, we can go through and vote.
Can we make a motion to,
Yes.
to nominate Rob
you.
for the chair, Angela for the vice chair, and Steve for the secretary?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Elections are.
Do we do it right?
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All of you.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you for your work, for your
Work
service.
on gas prices?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, who do I have to talk about parking?
And then with that, we'll move to our third item of new business, the Planning Commission annual report.
Yes, sir. The State Planning Enabling Act, so state law, requires preparation of an annual report every year to summarize activities done by the Planning Commission over the previous year, fiscal year. You all may know that our fiscal year is April 1 through March 31. I think there's 31 days in March. So this summarizes basically all of the activity that has taken place. This report summarizes all of the activity that has taken place during this current fiscal year. With your presumed and hopeful approval of this report and forwarding of it to the Township Board for their acceptance, that would be what would be requested here. It's been another active year. Obviously, we've had a lot of stuff going on with various, PUDs and special uses and, land divisions and on and on and on. So Just from a staff perspective, I know we've had a lot of turnover and changes to the township, to the planning commission here over the last couple of years, and new members, old members, and everybody in between. We're very, very appreciative of your guys' efforts, your work, your dedication, and what you've all brought to the group and everything that's been done. So it's an opportunity for us to express that appreciation, and obviously the annual report reflects all the work that's been done. Brent, any other thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
And we'll just update the outcomes from today, okay.
We would, yeah, we would just include those, final reports or whatever, reactions.
Oh, I see now. That was gonna be my question under 319 requests.
Yep.
But today is
That's right.
13th, so
Yes, sir.
Good summary.
who knew?
Just want to say I appreciate solid attendance from everyone over the last year too. It's been good.
Do we have to accept the annual report?
Or recommend, I guess, approve and recommend its
Approve and
acceptance
recommend.
to the township board, I think would be acceptable or appropriate.
James, would you like to recommend?
Recommend
Oh,
acceptance and forwarding this
perfect.
to the township board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously to accept and move the annual report to the township board.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to commission member staff reports.
Just a few quick comments from a staff perspective. I think Rob was able to attend. We had the recent parking plan presentation that was done by Fishbeck. That parking plan is available. If any of you would like to obtain it, please let me know. Basically, Fishbeck's conclusion was, parking is an ongoing challenge, but our supply is reasonable at this point. But it's a balance we have to continue to work to maintain, right? We obviously had that conversation last month with the Flatiron request, and that's something we have to kind of continue to monitor and to work on. Fortunately, a lot of the responsibility, if you will, of the parking management probably more likely falls to the DDA, the Downtown Development Authority. So that's Kevin Austin. We work closely with him, and he's been very, very dynamic and active on doing a lot of things with working on that parking management. So I feel like we're in a pretty good place as far as the parking goes.
Yeah, can I just add a comment there, John?
I'm sorry?
Can I add a comment?
Well, of course, you're the chair.
That's staff report though. Yeah, I'd say the two biggest takeaways I took from it was Fishbeck requesting that, okay, Mike, all right, throwing me off. Fishbeck requesting that the DDA own the parking in Ada, that they would figure out what to do next, implement. And then the second thing that I took away from it is Fishbeck recommended that the data we have, it's baseline data. So if we do the parking study each year, we can assess, is it getting worse, is it getting better, or is it staying the same? They had recommendations for, hey, once you get over 80% capacity, that's probably when you have an issue. We're close to that in some areas on some days of the week, other areas not so much. So if anything, what I took from it is now we have a baseline to know where we're at.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is that we have the parking supply. People just have to be willing to know and understand that you may not be able to park right in front of the store or restaurant you're going to. It may take a walk. This March Madness is a perfect example with our lot being filled, but I bet you dollars to donuts if I opened that door and looked out, I'd see a bunch of open spaces along Bronson Street to come in here. So.
Is there any reason why that report can't be circulated just by email to the group?
Happy to do so.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
If you'll allow me the latitude of not doing it till later next week, because I'm airborne tomorrow morning for the West Coast.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
Godspeed.
Thank you. We also had the Notre Dame study, if I might shift gears to that. Notre Dame, you guys know the Notre Dame study is being finalized for the recommendations for our new Township Hall location across from the library, so that's being worked on and finalized. Zoning ordinance progress continues as well. So from a staff perspective, that's all we have. I know James had some comments he wanted to make as well. But
I had one more comment about the parking.
Yes, sir.
So maybe I'll just read it when I get it next week, but.
Sure.
And make my own.
Conclusions?
Evaluation, yes, conclusions to this. Why, is there some reason why the DDA, why they've decided or recommended that the DDA own this? Is it taking authority away from, well, would we have had much of a say in that?
We, meaning the planning commission?
Sure.
Not really,
Okay.
because the planning commission's duties are identified pretty specifically. The DDA is kind of a function of the township, but it's a bit of an offshoot, but because they are responsible for downtown support and
Sure.
coordination, it does make some sense to have the DDA be a major player, if you will, in parking management.
That all makes sense to me. I'm just curious as to
Yep.
thoughts were about on what underlied that grant.
Absolutely.
Sorry, James.
I'm curious, what's the plan with the current town?
No plan has been developed or identified yet. Speculation is, well, what I've supported and suggested is that this building, that we somehow incentivize, if we're gonna sell this property to a developer, that we try to incentivize retaining the church building, put everything outside of this doorway right here, level it, get rid of it, and whether that becomes some other kind of project, whether we put in some residential on the remainder of the property, or maybe that's up to a developer to do, or something like that. In my view, if the economics could work for this church building, if you will, to convert to a restaurant or an entertainment facility, you know, or something like that, I think, or a distillery or something of that nature, in my view, would be really very hip, very cool, if that could be done. It would take a lot of creativity and money, but that's just a John dream.
Are there any mechanisms in place for us to designate sites as historic?
No. Years ago, and I think Dan would have been around, Angela would have been around, even though at the time, I think this would have gone to the township board. There was proposals to consider creating a downtown, or a historic district kind of in this area, and basically the property owners themselves, even though there was a lot of interest from like some historical minded folks, the property owners themselves said no, or a majority of them did. And that was kind of a key component, I think, in the township board's evaluation of that. So they decided not to move ahead with a historic district or a historic district designation in this kind of two-block area.
Interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
James, did you have a comment?
For medical reasons, I have submitted resignation from the planning commission. I've been a medical experiment for the last 11 years, so I'm resigning.
Yeah, and James submitted a letter to me with his resignation that this would be his last meeting, if you don't mind me saying so, sir. And I also have to say, sir, it's been an honor and a privilege to have you be part of this group. You've made some great contributions, and I've appreciated your depth of thought and all the perspectives you've brought to us. So
I've enjoyed it.
So
Concur with that too. Yeah, thank you, James. We will miss you on the steering committee, and yeah, it's been a privilege working with you for 2 years, I think, for me here. So thank you for your service here on the planning commission.
Thank you.
you will be missed.
And best of luck with your health.
With that, I will open up public comment. And I will close the public comment and then seek a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
One note, I think, looking at the agenda for next month, it'll be a long one.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's on it? Any, like, indication?
Flatiron will be back.
Flatiron, there was a lot, there were 3 or 4.
The Flatiron has they will have obviously shouldn't talk about it too much. I'm
Right,
just gonna
just
tell
in
you what's
general,
on,
yeah.
but we shouldn't get into any opining to avoid.
Yeah, let's just topics. Flatiron? what's that
Flatiron with a revised building.
Yep.
Significant revision. Proposed expansion of, Zayton.
Yep.
Those are the two I remember. Brent, what am I leaving out?
Expansion, wait a minute.
It's gotta go up.
Up and
Yeah, I was gonna
a
say,
little
it's
bit
not
out too, yeah, so.
There were a couple more though.
There are, and I'm not remembering what those are.
So I just know I have to organize childcare for these nights sometimes, so I just giving you guys a heads up of, I expect it to go a little longer than normal.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
have like four items. So those are.
4 items that
I
none of them
remember.
I anticipate will be quick. Okay, thank you.
Bring snacks.
Thanks.
Zayton's should
Yeah, they should cater.
cater for us, like.
Yeah, there should, yeah.
That feels like a conflict.
Is that bribing?
It does.
Well, we already adjourned, so.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta hit our stop
That's a
button.
politics